Thank you. Well, thank you. So are you all Turkish?
No.
No. So you're from all over? Good. And it's an entrepreneurial group. Good. So, and our students, do we have our students here?
Yeah.
All of them? Good. Oh, no, I'm going to say I can't talk right now. Well, good. Welcome, everybody, to Draper University. This place just somehow has this little magic thing to it. You're at Hero City, and we've done some really interesting things here. We started a school, sort of a silly thing to do, but we started it, and we did it because we felt like the world needed more heroes. 2008 was when it started, and that was when the financial markets were crashing, and things were really tough and really brutal. And I was thinking, well, where are the heroes? They're not here. And so I decided that this was one of those things that maybe our schooling system has not done. It hasn't encouraged heroes. It hasn't encouraged people to step out and try things for themselves. It's taught them to be very safe, and everybody has these sort of, I call them high school hang-ups, where in high school you want to all be the same and not rock the boat and always stay kind of with the class. Well, we're trying to get people to step out of that and take a risk and be that first wildebeest that goes out and tests the water and sees if he gets attacked, or the first penguin who jumps into the water. Even though the odds are long, the outcome could be extraordinary. And so that's what we try to encourage here. And this was a sleepy little town when we got here. I think it was the oldest average age in all of America when we first got here. And we really stirred the place up and created this new kind of thinking, a new ecosystem where people were trying things, willing to fail and fail again, willing to keep trying new things, and then maybe turning those into businesses, turning weird designs, weird marketplaces, new coins, new ways of thinking, all into businesses where they make money and they spread and they grow. And what the biggest surprise we had was that it worked. People were really hungry for this kind of thing. The schooling had all been very box-like. It was all in the box. All the things they'd learned were in a box. And so we put together Draper University, and we've broken out of that box and that way of thinking. We do everything from teaching future instead of history, to survival training, to getting people to go through hackathons and main challenges, and it's all team-based. So that part is all very exciting. And then we have, they do presentations to a panel of venture capitalists, and you're going to hear from a few of them today. I think at random, actually, so I hope you guys are all ready. And for me, I'm a venture capitalist. I grew up in the Silicon Valley. My grandfather was the first venture capitalist in the Silicon Valley. My father was a great pioneer of venture capital. I watched as this whole valley started with a bunch of apricot groves and farmland, and it slowly became this center for innovation. And all it took was people willing to break from the norm and invest in people with clever ideas, and having those people go out and try things and then tell their friends that they could get investment and go do something themselves. so that just going out, having a normal life, getting a job, trying to hang on to that job for your life was one option. But then the other option was, hey, start something, do something different, push progress forward. Be one of those people who is maybe a little crazy, but pushes progress forward. And it has worked quite well. So I had about 30 years I'm still in the venture capital business, and I've seen these amazing waves that people have taken and ridden as they've started businesses. When a new technology comes into place, then the entrepreneurs go after every different industry using that technology. When the internet came along, of course, they went after media and communications and information and gaming and entertainment. A whole variety of different industries got completely transformed by this new technology that came along. Then there was another technology, sort of the marketplace technology, and that made it so that companies took on taxi drivers with ride sharing. They took on hotels with Airbnb and tripping. They took on, well, now they're taking on all the professions, lawyers, accountants, bankers, whatever. They're all getting changed by the marketplaces. Then there's another technology that comes along, and it's Bitcoin. And Bitcoin transforms a whole another group of industries. And that group might start with just banking, but it goes after all finance, investment banking, venture capital. We all get changed by this new way of thinking that there is a new kind of currency, a virtual currency, that actually banks the unbanked. Right now, if you want to go to a bank here and say, I want to open an account for $7.35, the bank pushes you away because it costs them $200 in regulation just to open your account. So there's this big opportunity that's opened up by Bitcoin. And then the Bitcoin blockchain changes even more because they change the nature of the contract. They change the nature of regulation. They change the nature of real estate, of how people distribute money. When you go to see a Star Wars movie and you see all those credits, every one of those people gets like a check for 25 cents every quarter from Star Wars. And those checks cost about $7 to send out. And so Bitcoin and the blockchain can make it very easy to do a lot of mass distribution. So that can be for Social Security, it can be for welfare, it can be for any kind of regulation that's out there. Any job the government is doing right now could potentially be transferred to the blockchain. So right now, that's kind of my hot spot. That's kind of where I'm looking to fund companies. I'm looking to fund companies that are going to take blockchain, transform government, make government much more efficient, effective, helpful, cheaper. Another thing I'm always looking for is where is there an industry where you're getting the worst service at the highest cost? Because you know that that's an industry that's getting very lazy and that they've got big margins and they've just been sitting there not changing for years and years and years. And so that's a big opportunity for entrepreneurs to come in there and change things. And so you can think about that. Okay, well, where do I get really bad service at a really high cost? You think about your cable TV or the utilities or how you get your electricity or water, whatever. Those are kind of interesting opportunities. Real estate, insurance. They're all high cost, low value, at least for me, perceived value for the customer. And then the absolute highest cost, worst service is provided by all of our governments. And so I'm looking now, and I'm saying, this is the first time in my life where there is a technology that can actually come in and sweep through governance and change the way we are all governed. And that's starting to happen, and it's very exciting, and all the land-based governments are realizing that they have to compete for us, for the capital and the brain power and the entrepreneurs of the world and the businesses and the people of the world. The governments are going to have to compete for us. I know a lot of you are from Turkey. I know people are fleeing Turkey because they're going to a place where the government might do a better job. Some are leaving Greece because they're saying, hey, this government is corrupt and it's, we're moving to another place. So you start to realize that we can move. And all these geographic borders have fallen, and we can move around, and we can communicate with everybody, and we can have currencies, these virtual commodities that go around the world. So we don't have to be like just if you're in Nigeria, you only can use Naira. You can be in Nigeria and use M-Pesa, you can use Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tezos, Bancor. You can use any of these virtual currencies. So it is opening the world up. The world is incredibly dynamic now. And the other great thing about it is anybody with a cell phone can now communicate with anybody else in the world, but also can get access to all the same information that anyone else in the world has. And with that base, with that information, they can then make the next leap that creates the next Facebook, Google, Twitter, whatever, Tesla, Skype. You can create anything. You can create something really extraordinary. And that makes this probably the most exciting time in the history of the world for us, for people who are either venture capitalists, entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs in training, or heroes in training is what we call our students. And so this is one of those times where you can just break out, make a little tweak to something, and go with it and see how it goes. Now, before you just change your life and say, yeah, I'm going to go do this, spend a little time thinking about 15 years out. Because if you're starting a business now, it usually takes about 15 years for your idea to proliferate. If you are hugely successful, 15 years is sort of a magic time. So if you look at your business and you say, in 15 years this is going to be eclipsed by something, then maybe you need to think about your business in a new way. So I always think about what you want to do, then do a Google search and realize that, oh, okay, there are 500 people doing the same thing. And then say, well, if they're all successful, then what happens to the world? And then what are they all going to need? And that's where you abstract one extra layer. Your odds of success are lower, but the size of your success will be bigger, and the progress you move forward will be bigger. So there's one thing. How much more time do I have?
2 more, see, I can't do that. 2 more minutes, and then we'll have one question.
Perfect. Okay. So this is the way I look at entrepreneurs. I look at entrepreneurs as heroes. Superhero. They are doing, the difference between a superhero and a hero is superhero is looking into the future. A hero, we're kind of looking back and saying, that guy, that girl was a hero. So we have, I'll give you an example. There was a guy named Ian Wright, and he gave me a ride in his electric vehicle. And he made me strap in with a 5-point strap. And I thought, I was thinking golf cart or like a Volt. And none of them could move you forward very quickly or stop you very quickly. He said, no, no, you got to strap in for this. And then he took off, and I couldn't believe it. It was like being on a roller coaster, and he stopped on a dime. And I thought, wow, suddenly electric cars, in my mind, electric cars were suddenly going to be better than gas-powered cars. Because I have that 15-year thing going on in my head all the time. So that was Ian Wright, and that was Wright Motor Company. And then I thought, okay, I'm just going to go around to all the electric car hobbyists out there and just see what's going on. And all of them mentioned this guy who was starting Tesla, Martin Eberhard. So then I went and I met with Martin Eberhard and decided to back Martin Eberhard with Tesla. He built his business. We all ran out of money. Elon Musk came in with more money and took over, and then the rest is history, and it's big success. Well, all three of those guys are heroes. Elon Musk is the one we all celebrate. He's the one who really made the thing go, and it was fabulous and all that. But Martin Eberhard's a hero. He pushed it forward. And Ian Wright's a hero. He got the spark going. He got people excited about the idea of an electric car. You know, the guy, there would be no Facebook if there were no MySpace. But who even hears about MySpace anymore? So, but those people were heroes. They were pushing it forward. So if you are successful in creating a whole new industry, that's awesome. If you are unsuccessful, still awesome. Okay, with that, I will open it up for questions, or one question.
So,
how many
yeah, let's do one
we...
question. All
Okay.
right. Let's go.
Do you also invest in and of course you are investing in blockchain, but as a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ethereum, do you personally invest money on that?
Yeah, okay, well, I invest my investors' money, so I'm a fiduciary. I need to take care of them. And yes is the answer. I invested in Bitcoin, but that was for me before anybody could risk their investors' money. It was nuts. And by the way, when you are the winner of an auction, that means you're the one who was willing to pay the absolute most for that. And so I won the auction, and I realized, okay, I'm the sucker. I'm the one who paid the most for it. So I didn't look too smart for the first couple of years. It's come back. Actually, it's come way back. But with my investors' money, I was saying Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin all the way. And then I started to get the understanding of the smart contracts, and I understood that some of these things, that Bitcoin is ruled by the miners, right? And that's really interesting. But this woman came in and she enlightened me and said that this new currency, Tezos, is going to open up a new way of governing, whereas Bitcoin could end up being more static because it's really still run by the miners and they will move in whichever way they go. This is run by whoever owns Tezos at the time. Whoever owns those coins at the time, they become, in effect, I don't know what they call it, a plutocracy or something. And so I got excited again. All of a sudden I realized, whoa, it's not just Bitcoin, it's multiple coins that each might have a slightly different personality. Just as the Turkish government might have a different personality from the US government and the Chinese government and another government, these coins are going to have their own personality. They're going to have their own way of operating. And some will rise and some will fall, and but they're commodities. They're virtual commodities. They are not like, you don't own anything underlying. You don't own like shares of a company, and you don't own the right to anything when you buy the coin. You just own the right to spend that coin. But what's interesting about it is these coins will grow in value as they spread, as Bitcoin has. As Bitcoin is used more and more and more, the coin will continue up in value. So in that case, I am a venture investor, like like adventure investor, and my investors know that. And so, yes, we put them into both Tezos and Bancor, and there may be more to come. So, but those two, I mean, I'm very selective. I pick only very extraordinary teams before I'll bet on their coin, because there are plenty of people throwing coins up there. You know, Draper coin. Hey, try it. Hey, we'll spend it. We'll spread it around here. A little Draper coin. Spend your Draper coin. Go. Yeah. But I like to see really good teams, just the way I do in my entrepreneurial ventures. But it's a new thing. It's not a security. It's a commodity. It's a strange thing, and strange things are where we make our money.
Great. Do you have any more questions?
There, got a woman.
Yeah, so
No, let's let her ask.
here's
her
my
question.
segue. They will be able to ask you a lot more questions when you visit us in Istanbul.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm coming.
Yes, so this is your
Okay.
bracelet.
Is this my
Yeah.
airplane ticket?
Yes.
All right,
So,
Startup Istanbul.
on October 2023, we'll be very happy to be hosting Draper, Tim, and his crew. You can bring anybody that's involved. Azra should be there. And we'll be able to kick off the annual Startup Istanbul event. For all those who could want to be asking questions to Tim, the registrations are open. So please give a hand for Tim. It's
Okay,
been
wait.
amazing.
One more
All right.
question. I always like it when a woman puts her hand up, because that's
Perfect.
like
Come.
entrepreneurial woman.
Yes.
Leaders go first.
My name is Yasmin, and I'm the CMO of a newly launched cloud-based document capture software. Actually part of a Turkish company, but we're trying to launch our product in the US. So just connected to your previous speech about extraordinary teams, I'm trying to, cold call through LinkedIn, through
Wait, is this
email.
a pitch?
No, no, no.
Good job. I like it.
What is?
I like
That's why I'm
Tim?
standing right next to her.
Tim
No,
at
no.
draper.vc.
I'm just wondering, you meet so many extraordinary teams, and you even pick the most extraordinary ones to invest in.
We
I'm
hope
just-
we do.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
I'm just wondering what you would say the common virtue or the spark that persuades you to invest in them, in the people.
So it used to be I had to knock on doors and say, hey, you guys need money. And that was the way I started my business. And then I started to build more deal flow and more judgment, and then it became a deluge of deal flow, and I had to think more strategically. So the first thing I look for is this, if it works, how big is it? That's number one. Is this a big deal? Is it going to change the world? Are you rocking the world? And that's number one. Is it a big enough market? Then number two is, do you have some sort of an advantage? And is that advantage going to grow over time? Which means that the way I look at it is your gross margin going to grow over time? Okay? As opposed to shrinking because you'll have competitors. And competitors will beat you down. If it grows over time, you get customers and users who love you so much that every time you try to sell them something new, they buy it, and you can keep raising your prices and going. So that's number two. So big market, interesting technology, and then business model that allow you to grow over time. And then if we see that, then we usually invite you in. And when we invite you in, it's great. It's pretty simple. I ask the question, why are you doing this? And I kind of do it like this. Why are you doing this? And what happens is the great entrepreneurs, that question, they come flying out. All the other questions don't really matter, but that one, their enthusiasm just bursts out of their chest. Because I told my boss 3 times, I kept saying, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. And the boss kept saying, no, he didn't get it. I don't get why he didn't get it, but I'm gonna show the world that this is a much better way to go. That kind of thinking is what we're looking for.
All right, great.
Great.
Thank you, Tim.
See you in
Thanks so much.
Turkey. Yeah. Go Istanbul.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.